Welcome back to episode 24, Kobe, of the ATD Baseball Podcast. Myself, Melo, Matt is here today. How you doing, Matt? Let's start
I'm
there.
I'm
I
doing
just
pretty
lost my
good.
train of thought.
No, you're good. I'm doing pretty good. We are a day late for those of you keeping track, and we apologize for that. I apologize for that because for reasons out of my control, my power going out, we weren't able to record yesterday. So we apologize for the delay, but may actually end up working things out. Hope is maybe we'll record an in-person episode, all three of us together. And this might be breaking news. I don't know. I don't think so. I think we've said before, Melo's going to be flying out to the East Coast. He's going to be joining me and Kyle. We're going up to the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. We're going to be making some content there up in person. We're going to the Hall of Fame. We got credentials for that. So it's going to be a very fun weekend for us. Big weekend for Melo, flying for the first time and coming out to the East Coast for the first time. So how are we feeling about that?
I'm excited. I'm excited. We, we kicked it around about maybe 2.5 months ago when we first saw we got the credentials, which shout out to MLB. It gave us enough time to at least think about it for a second to kind of just process and figure it out. Like on others, unlike some other teams, but I won't mention them. Um, excited. Never flown before. I've never been out to the East Coast. I'm excited to see what it's all about.
Hopefully, we can give you the best of the East Coast, not the worst. Luckily for us, trying to do that, you're not visiting New York City. You will be in Philly, though. Hopefully, you can stay out of the slummier parts. But the best of Philly, the Phillies and the Eagles. I mean, we welcome you. We both were to our championships last season, a little better than LA was, but we're not going to talk
Okay.
about that. I can get a
Okay.
good reaction there. Okay, we're going to
Wow.
be talking about New York sports a little bit to start it off here. Just to give you a rundown, though, of the topics, we want to talk about baseball in New York did not have a great weekend, and then carrying over into Monday, we were supposed to record yesterday. Again, sorry, but carrying over into Monday. And then also the Diamondbacks out in your division, they're sliding a little bit down to third place in the NL West. And then we
Well, I like
have
to hear.
lots, and I mean lots of trade rumors to discuss. We're going to try to do our best to cover the most of them, but not spend too much time diving into each of them because we could talk for an hour about whether Shohei should get traded or not. But we won't. We won't. We're going to try and keep it moderately brief. So, starting off in the Big Apple, Mets and Yankees did not have too hot of weekends. Mets lost 2 of 3 to Melo's Dodgers, and sort of in Metsy fashion. So, how about we dive into the feelings of that series from a Dodgers fan? What do you got? What do you got for us, Melo?
It was one of those things. Every time we go to New York and play the Mets, because they're on the schedule every year because they're a National League opponent, I always think we're gonna struggle. I don't know, for some reason, no matter how good the Dodgers are going into that series, I always feel like we're gonna struggle and lose the series to the Mets. And then as the series goes on, I remembered, oh yeah, these are the New York Mets. They don't play good baseball. And proud of the Dodgers. They did what they were supposed to do coming out of the All-Star break, took 2 out of 3. Would I have liked them to get the sweep? Sure. But Mets were desperate for a win. Dodgers probably let their foot off the gas a little bit. Couldn't wait to get to Baltimore and play a real opponent. So Dodgers did what they were supposed to do. Took 2 out of 3, and the Mets. And listen, Friday was on Apple TV, and Saturday was on Fox. So a good amount of people in this country got to really see how bad this Mets team is. They're not going anywhere. And at the start of the season, it became they're going to go. This is a World Series team, and they're going to build off of last season. Now it's, well, man, we might have to sell some pieces. I'm not saying blow it up and do a full rebuild. That's not what I'm saying. But this Mets team is not that good, and they're probably done for 2023. just keep being honest. We'll see in 2024. But unless something dramatically changes, this Mets team is going to miss the postseason this year.
Yeah, that's not a bold take at all. It doesn't feel like because, and for the most part, it wasn't a fantastic series. It took.
No,
I mean, the Mets literally handed the Dodgers the second game, I believe, right? Or was that the first game with the terrible error at third base?
the second game, and then not to mention, the Mets had bases loaded with no outs in the bottom of the eighth inning. If not, it was the bottom of the seventh. And then they got, I think, a strikeout, a pop up, and then another strikeout. And the Boo Birds were out at Citi Field, booing the team off the field as they just left runners on all bases with no outs, and they couldn't score. And all they had to do was get a base hit, and they would have taken the lead and probably won that game. But it didn't happen, and then that had led to the whole Beatty mistake, which, listen, I know everybody killed him, and rightfully so. It's not easy. I know the players make it look so easy to catch balls like that. It's tough when the ball's 40, 50 feet in the air like that.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And if it was the third inning and that error happened, chances are nobody's talking about it as much. I understand if it would cost them the game. Let's say that was the game-winning run, but it was in the third inning, people would be talking about it. But this was in the ninth inning. You had the Dodgers not dead to rights, but you were beating them. And this error cost you the game. So the saying Mets are going to Met seems to come and play a little bit there. Right now, just to let you guys know, they're sitting at 43-50, currently 8.5 games back of the wild card race. Not exactly where they thought. And just to give you a little reference, they have the same record as the Chicago Cubs right now, who people are already trying to snatch pieces from. People are trying to trade for Cody Bellinger and Marcus Stroman, as we'll talk about a little bit later in the episode. But it just sort of feels like the writing's on the wall for the Mets now. This isn't your season, all right? Things didn't pan out. You had some injuries to Scherzer and Verlander to start the season, and they've mixed in some great starts. Max Scherzer just had a dominant start over the weekend. But it hasn't seemed to pan out this year. Do you think one of those big two starters gets traded?
I think Scherzer is more likely to get traded than Verlander, just because Verlander got the new contract this past offseason. But I mean, I don't see why. I don't think they're gonna get traded, because I think they're going to talk themselves into, oh, well, we'll finish this year up. We'll make some changes in the offseason, and then we'll run it back with these two and pray that they're healthy to both start. Pray that they're healthy to start the season. I don't think they'll get traded, but I think Scherzer is more between the two. I think Scherzer would be the most likely one to get moved.
And yeah, that's what makes sense. It also doesn't seem like Pete Alonso is going to get traded. His name keeps getting waved out there. Personally, I don't see it. As a Phillies fan, having up close view of the Mets, it just feels like he's a Mets guy for life. It sort of seems like he's the Aaron Judge to the Mets currently. Not as good, but like the same sort of vibes there. And I know this isn't free agency and he's not choosing if he wants to leave, but it sort of seems like he wants to be a Met for life. But we'll flip the script then.
Selling your soul.
Hop over to the New York Yankees side. And they didn't have a great weekend either. And we should have had Kyle on, honestly, to complain a little bit about how bad the Yankees have been. But they lost 2 or 3 to the Rockies. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yankees lost 2 or 3 to the Rockies, including a walk-off home run by Alan Trejo, who did not have a home run that season at all. And honestly, it's been like a long time for him. So, and then to add on, last night they lost to the Angels in extra innings, walked off by the Angels, and Shohei Ohtani had a very, very stellar game. I think it was a double home run, a walk, 3 RBI, something like that. including a very clutch home run for them. Are the Yankees in trouble? Currently sitting in last in the AL East and out of the wild card race.
Heck yeah, they're in trouble. And for one reason. I mean, it's Aaron Judge. Kind of depends on what happens with him. Because I think there's still more to that injury that they're not saying. And listen, this is not the main part. I know the other guys in that lineup and the other guys in that rotation have to step up, but I'm just amazed how quiet they've been about this Judge injury. And it's killing their season right now. Listen, the Red Sox, who have been basically mid the whole season, they are now a game in front of you. That's an issue. You have more talent than the Red Sox. You have better players than the Red Sox. That's a problem. And I don't know if it's going to get any better. Listen, we played almost 100 games already. At this point, you kind of are what you are. The Yankees are not a good team.
It's very interesting to see how much one team relies on one player. And on the other side of that, how valuable Aaron Judge is to the Yankees. You see right now that they stink on offense. They're terrible on offense without Aaron Judge. And that's not anything new. We've seen that the whole time he's been injured. It's been brutal for the Yankees on offense. And now, not that he was helping a whole lot, but Josh Donaldson seems to be out possibly the rest of the season with a muscle or a calf strain, which was from what Kyle had said, it was enough to be considered a tear, I believe. So seems like he's going to be out for a long time, if not the rest of the season. And you're relying on, like, this roster is sort of full of guys who either has-beens, sort of, like Josh Donaldson, Giancarlo Stanton. I don't know that you consider Gleyber Torres a have-been, but he had his best season already, and he hasn't returned to that form yet. And then you add in all their outfielders are not really outfielders. They're sort of, other than Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader has been a nice spark plug for their offense. But other than that, like, the people that they throw out there every night are not really, they're not outfielders and they're not everyday players. Jake Bauers is not supposed to be your left fielder for the Yankees throughout the season. Any of these guys that they're throwing out there are not supposed to be out there. And maybe they'll look to add, I heard rumors today, Dylan Carlson from the Cardinals. So yet another maybe Cardinals-Yankees outfielder trade. Then they'd have 2 or 3 former Cardinals in the outfield. But who knows? Maybe Brian Cashman's kind of strange in his additions and how he builds the roster. So I don't feel confident in betting that the Yankees are going to make a move, a quote-unquote smart move in my eyes, because recently that sort of hasn't been happening. But what do you sort of see for them at the trade deadline?
Another bat. Again, they say Aaron Judge is going to come back in a couple weeks. Don't know. So maybe another bat. Again, and a lot of these teams are going to figure this out in a couple weeks. A lot of these teams are not going to sell. There's only like 3 teams that are really dedicating to sell. And this is not just for the Yankees. This goes for my team also. I don't think there's going to be that many moves like we all think. But get another bat, maybe another bullpen arm, and tell yourself that you can sneak in and get that last wildcard spot. They're running out of options.
The American League is tough because literally their whole division is ahead of them in the wildcard rankings. So you're trying to beat your own divisional opponents, which can be good in a way because you got plenty of games against them. It gives you a direct chance to jump them in the standings. But also, the whole AL East has been good this season. The Red Sox, who are sitting at the bottom for, about the last month or so, have been hanging around 500, like you said, mid. So it's not that the AL East is bad in any way. It's just everybody's good. The Yankees have not been great as of recently. And yeah, they really need Aaron Judge back. That's for sure. Especially when you look at Garrett Cole has been debatably the AL Cy Young, through the first half. And now the Yankees still find themselves not being able to produce on offense. Obviously not his fault, but it's kind of frustrating, I'm sure, when he goes out and puts up an incredible start and then they still aren't able to give him any run support. But we're going to move on now. Okay. Melo, you in your division, Diamondbacks sort of cooled off a little bit, slid themselves down into third place in the NL West. Obviously, Dodgers, Giants, and then the D-backs. D-backs now sitting at 52 and 42. It's not anything to be upset about being 10 games above 500 in any way. But 2 games out of the division right now. What's a sort of feeling from a Dodgers fan perspective about the D-backs going forward?
One of those things where kind of waiting for the D-backs to cool off a little bit. We're not saying that they don't deserve to be this good, but it is surprising that they've been playing this well this late into the season. We knew that they were on the rise with all the young pieces that they have. But we also thought too that okay, they're probably like a year or two away from really, really competing for this division. But no, they're in it this year, and yeah, they had a bad weekend, but they're still 2 games out, and I know the Giants are looking like world beaters again, and then Dodgers are kind of up and down. So in a week and a half, division could be the Diamondbacks again, but it's good if you're a Dodger fan. This is not, if you're a Diamondbacks fan, you're probably thinking the worst. Like, uh-oh, are we starting to come back down to earth a little bit? I hope not. But I think the Diamondbacks are fine. There's no reason to panic.
For the rest of the season, are you more worried about, concerned about, or like scared of the Diamondbacks or the Giants?
The Giants.
Really?
Just because they've done it in the past. Well, they'll get these guys. They'll hang around in June and July, and then before you know it, they're in the playoff spot come October, and we all know what happens. Weird stuff happens when the Giants get into the playoffs for some reason. Yeah, I'm more afraid of the Giants. And then that's not taking anything away from the Diamondbacks. It's just I haven't seen it like this before. It's been a while since I've seen a Diamondbacks team play well like this. Giants, I've seen it before. And recently.
Okay. Do you think that the D-backs finish in third place, though?
I don't. I think the Diamondbacks finish in second.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
they've kind of played too well to just completely fall flat on their face this year.
Yeah. And I think that they're definitely going to be buyers at the trade deadline. There's rumors of Marcus Stroman, there's rumors of Max Scherzer. It sure seems like they're going to be looking for another starting arm to add to the rotation to pair with Zach Gallen, which is going to be, lethal. Marcus Stroman would be a little better than Scherzer based off of this season so far. But I think that could be a big boost for them. My personal feeling, they're just going through, so to say, growing pains right now. That's just part of being, a young, good team, is you're going to have times, and just being a baseball team in general, sort of, there's times when you're going to be hot and cold as a squad, and right now they're cold, but they've shown that they're going to be good this season. So those pieces like Corbin Carroll, there was an injury scare just the other week with him, but hopefully he's going to be all right. And he's going to be able to lead the D-backs, him, Zach Gallen, that whole crew of young studs is going to be able to lead them going forward. And I think that I'm sort of flipped now if they're going to win the division. I don't think they will. I think the Dodgers still are going to take the NL West crown, but I definitely think the D-backs will be a playoff team.
Definitely. And two things. Number one, I hope they go all in at the trade deadline in 2 weeks, the Diamondbacks, just because this is one of those years where Rockies are no good. The Padres historically are not good. They came into the season. Everybody said that they were going to go to the World Series and win the NL West. They're not playing good. Giants they're up and down. They're playing well right now. Maybe they'll come back down a little bit. But more importantly, this is the 1 year where the Dodgers are actually kind of beatable in your division. You're not 20 games out. You're not 25 games out. It's not a long shot. You're right there with them, and you're only 2 games behind them in the division. And if they go out there and get a Marcus Stroman, I'm all for it. Recognize the window and go for it. And I hope the Diamondbacks do that in 2 weeks. And secondly, just a quick little story. Opening day at Dodger Stadium back in March, we played the Arizona Diamondbacks. And if you don't know, I have a job there. I work at the stadium. And I was on my break, and I went for a walk. And right as I was about to go back so we can open the gates and get started working, there was a Diamondbacks fan there, just chilling there, just sitting there. I don't know how he got in. Shouldn't have been in there anyways, but I don't know how, whatever. I don't know how he got in. The gates didn't open for another 15 minutes, but hey, none of my business. We made eye contact with each other, and I told him, hey, good luck this season. And then he told me, thanks. We're going to need it. I wonder how that fan feels now. I want to know. I hope the guy's okay. And I hope he's having fun right now.
I mean, yeah, you would think as a D-backs fan, he's having plenty of fun right now with the season they've been having. Obviously, like I said, they're in a bit of a valley right now, but still, overall as a whole, still in a pretty good spot. But we had just talked about some possible trade candidates for the Diamondbacks, so let's just jump right into all the trade rumors that are sort of, well, not all, okay? We don't have time for all of them, but some of the trade rumors that have been swirling around. Okay, we got to start here. The current temperature of the room on Shohei Ohtani. We have sort of semi-breaking news about that. He is not going to be in that dugout behind you for the rest of the season, according to reports, because Angels owner Artie Moreno does not want to trade him to the crosstown, whether you use air parentheses here or not, rivals. It's up to you.
Don't play in the same county.
But I don't think that the Dodgers necessarily expected to have him for the second half of the season anyway, so I don't think that does a ton. Melo's shaking his head no, so he agrees with me. And we'll probably talk about this every podcast episode till the trade deadline comes and goes. What are you feeling the current feeling is on trading Ohtani, like leaning a yes or a no right now?
Well, if I can just react to Artie Moreno saying he won't trade him to the Dodgers.
Sure.
First of all, if you want to trade Shohei Ohtani, don't you want to get better? Is that not the end game in all this? And trade, I know it's crazy to think about trading a generational all-time player in Shohei Ohtani. I completely get that. But if you're Artie Moreno, don't you want to get better? Don't you want your ball club to be better suited for the future? And trading him to the Dodgers gives you that opportunity. Listen, I don't know what the Dodgers are willing to give for Shohei Ohtani. I'm not in that world. I'm not in the front office. I have no idea. But look at the names that we have. Look at the prospects we have in our farm system. we can help your team a whole hell of a lot with a couple prospects and a couple active players. And for Artie Moreno to come out and say, he's saying, I don't want my team to get better. I don't want my team to get better. Unless he thinks he can get a better package somewhere else. Maybe he can. I don't know. But those words were so not shocking because Artie Moreno's like that. I don't want to say anything I'm going to regret, but just this pettiness and not hatred. Hatred's a strong word. Just you don't want to do business with the Dodgers. That doesn't suit well with me. It's like we're willing to give you maybe not, everything, but we're willing to give you more than half for Shohei Ohtani. I don't know.
If it
to answer
was
your second question,
I was going to say just real quick, if it was the Giants, I'd 100% understand. You don't want to trade him within division. Chances are you don't want to trade him within, your league. You don't want to trade him to another American League team. But you're trading him to a National League team who, if you you have to face him in the regular season a little bit. All right. No big deal. Okay. And then the only other time you have to face him is if it gets to the World Series. And newsflash, Angels probably aren't going to the World Series if they trade away Shohei Ohtani. All right.
Even if they keep him.
No signs of that, even if they keep him. All right. So I'd understand more if it was division rivals. And even then, you're only trading him for 2 months. After that, you have no control over where he goes. It's not guaranteed he signs with the Dodgers, or whichever team he gets traded to. But it does seem a little bit petty on Artie's end. Anyway, continue what you were saying.
If you trade Shohei Ohtani, and I know I just completely dumped on him, but I will give him a little bit of credit, just a little bit, because if you trade him to the Dodgers, and I saw it a lot when they came to Dodger Stadium, the Angel fans, this is going to be the case wherever Ohtani goes. Throw the Angels out because I don't think he's re-signing with them. He's got a big following in the Japanese community. There are fans. They're not Angel fans. They're Shohei Ohtani fans. There's a huge difference. And wherever he goes is where his fan base is going to go. So you not only get Shohei Ohtani, you get the fan base that comes with it. And I understand for the Angels, if you trade Shohei Ohtani, you not only lose the player, you lose all the buzz, the fan base, and the publicity that comes with it. I get that. And I just don't think he's going to get traded. I don't think he's going to get traded. I think there's teams that are definitely willing to offer everything for him, but I think the owner's just too stubborn. And I think he's just going to hold on to him. He does not want to be the guy that says, I traded the greatest player of all time. Doesn't want to be on that side of history. And part of me I get it.
Yep, I understand that part, but you got to think if he feels internally between him and Perry Manassian, the GM there, that there's not a great chance of re-signing him in the offseason, you got to say, hey, if we can get a nice couple everyday players, some maybe even a star in return or future stars in return for Shohei Ohtani for 2 months in which we might not be going anywhere with him because him and Mike Trout, the Angels were not really, I'm not going to say never because maybe they were for a couple days to start the season. I don't know. They weren't in first place in the AL West at all this season. They've been they were in second for a little while. They scooted down to third. Now they're the whole way down to fourth in the AL West. And sure, Mike Trout has gotten injured, and they've been dealing with a ton of injuries. I get that. But right now, you're sitting 9 games back of the wild card, 2 games under 500. You really think that 9 games back of your division. Sorry about that. 9 games back of the division and 5.5 games back of the wild card. So you really feel that confident that with Mike Trout out for an extended period of time, Shohei Ohtani is going to lead your injured team full of Anthony Rendon, who has not shown any promise of being good this season, full of former All-Stars and sort of mixed matched. I don't know. Bunch of group of players who have not proven to be fantastic. I like Zach Neto. I like the shortstop, but there's a lot of players there, like either on second, like the last legs of their career, Mike Moustakas, not fantastic, or just players who haven't been proven yet. You really think that's going to be enough to pass the Mariners, the Yankees, the Red Sox in your own division, the Astros, and the Blue Jays, all of those teams to get into a wild card spot? I don't think so. But like you said, where it really comes in is Artie Moreno being stubborn and not wanting to trade the greatest player of all time.
And let me shut it down for all you Angel fans out there. And I want this as a clip. Let me shut it down for all you Angel fans who still live in this fantasy land that Shohei Ohtani is going to re-sign with you in the offseason. I don't know. Maybe it's because they live in Disneyland. They getting that Disney touch. I have no idea. They still think they're in this fantasy world. Let me shut it down for you. When Mike Trout, before he signed the big contract, the recent one, the $400 and something million, I think it was, he signed that when there was 3 years left before he went to market. The Angels said, "We want to lock you down. Here's our contract. You can be an Angel for life." Trout took the deal, and he's stuck. They did that with Shohei Ohtani. No interest in it. If Ohtani really wanted to stay in Anaheim, he would have re-signed by now. So let me shut it down for all you Angel fans who still live in this world where he's going to be on your ball club next year, because it's not happening.
No, there's no chance. And then guess what? The logical thing to do, as much as it sucks being the guy who traded away the greatest player of all time, guess what? The logical thing to do is say, hey, we're not in a spot to compete this year, and he's not coming back in free agency. So guess what? We're going to get what we can back for him while we still can get something back for him. Just seems like the logical conclusion to come to. But I said we weren't going to spend the whole time on Shohei, so we won't. There's a couple teams that are looking to add some starting pitching. We mentioned the Diamondbacks earlier. A couple other teams, the Orioles. They sort of haven't had that. Dodgers, yes. They sort of haven't had that ace to their staff so far. The Orioles, it's sort of been a need for them. And then the Rays are sort of looking for starting pitching as well. They've been dealing with some injuries at the front of their rotation. Dodgers definitely looking for pieces, even though they have a lot of guys who are going to be coming back from injury too. They have a decent rotation. I mean, it's just sort of, like really Kershaw, and then Urias is back now. Gonsolin.
They don't need to see that in a playoff series again.
A Bryce Miller. That's 4 guys right there. So I guess they're looking for a 5th guy, really.
Looking at the... Yeah, but we're looking at the south side of Chicago right now. Giolito, come on down, sir.
So you think it's Giolito over Cease that the Dodgers are showing interest in?
I think that's who they want. And they've said that they're interested.
Yeah.
SoCal native. Grew up here in LA or in Southern California. Match made in heaven. Come on home.
You heard it. You heard it here first. Other names that are available, most likely, and teams have shown interest in. I said Dylan Cease. We mentioned Marcus Stroman earlier. You just said Giolito, and then also Jack Flaherty, possibly from the Cardinals. Just some of the names that come to mind. I want to try and match some of these up with. So we'll start with Cease. Who do you see if somebody trades for him? Who do you see going out and trying to get Dylan Cease?
dare I say, the Cincinnati Reds. They could be a
Yeah.
sneaky, fun team. That can I Okay, I'll one up you. I'll make you a prediction. I think the Reds are gonna get one of these four starters. I don't know who, but I think they're gonna get one of these starters at the deadline.
So the Reds will get either Dylan Cease, Marcus Stroman, Lucas Giolito, or Jack Flaherty.
You heard it here first.
All right. I like that. I like that. Cease, personally, I know there's been some rumors. I think Orioles for Dylan Cease. I think that'd be a good fit. And I believe he has a little bit of time left under contract, so that would work good for the Orioles. It's not just for the remainder of the season. I think it's for next season as well. So then he would be there to build around and then possibly extend as well. Marcus Stroman, there's still speculation of whether he gets traded or not. And we mentioned him possibly to the D-backs earlier. We'll start with, do you think he gets traded?
I think he does. I think him and Bellinger get traded. Which it kind of sucks if you're a Cubs fan. It's like we brought in these pieces. We signed Dansby Swanson in the offseason. I thought we were gonna get ready to compete, and less than like 2 years after we got rid of everybody, Baez, Rizzo, Bryant, we're back to this crap again. Selling and waving the white flag on a season. That's gotta suck to be a Cubs fan, but Marcus Stroman, I think he's going to end up in Arizona. I really think he does. Does not have to be the number one in Arizona. Zach Gallen is.
True.
And when you have a 1-2 punch like Gallen and Stroman, that's tough. In a short 3-game series, that's not a bad two to run out there. And you got to think Stroman, too, going to get everybody fired up in that dugout.
Oh, definitely.
For the second half push.
Definitely.
And he'll get the fans into it.
I like the D-backs for Stroman. Another team that's possible, a reunion for him going back up north to the Blue Jays. This has been rumored. They've been linked together a little bit. I like that fit for him. Looking for them to add another piece with Gossman. It's a little tough because Gossman's great at striking guys out, but his ERA is at least, I think, in the threes. So it's not quite okay. I don't want to dump on a guy for having a 3 ERA because that's good. But if you're looking for ace stuff, you might be looking more in the 2s. So he's been fantastic this season, but to add another punch to that, and hopefully Alek Manoah can be good in bringing him back. But if not, at least having the second guy there as an option would be great. Giolito, we all know Melo thinks he's going to the Dodgers. Honestly, at this point, I'd have to agree with him. I feel pretty confident in that. There's definitely interest there. The White Sox definitely want to move off him. Jack Flaherty now has not been, fantastic. He hasn't been a world beater this season, but he's been all right. A solid. He'd probably slot in at like a 3, 4, 5 in a rotation, depending who else you got in the rotation. And any of the teams that we mentioned previously, if they don't get the guy that we thought, are going to be contenders for Jack Flaherty. But, just for the sake of the podcast, we're going to ask, who you see possibly going out there and looking for Jay Flair.
I'm going to go back out to my division here. Give me the Giants. I think the Giants are going to do something and maybe get one of these starters. Could see it. They need it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that'll signify that they're going to go all in.
Yeah, I think the Giants are definitely a contender to get a starting pitcher. Team I'm going to go with is the Rays. I mentioned earlier that they might be interested in buying a starting pitcher or trading for a starting pitcher. I think that the way that the Rays work and the Dodgers work as well is finding these guys and being able to turn them into something better. Dodgers didn't have much luck with Noah Syndergaard with that, but that might not be their fault. The Rays seem to be good at
Nope,
that as
not our
well.
fault. Never.
And Jack Flaherty has shown sparks of being elite, earlier in his career with the Cardinals. So I think the Rays see that and see that as a possibility for them to go out and not turn his career around, but fix some things, and that he can turn into a great piece for them moving forward. But that's it for starting pitchers. Got two more pieces we want to talk about. Like I said, don't have time to talk about everybody. We'll start in your division. Josh Hader. It's a possibility he gets moved. And, well, I guess we'll say another starting pitcher. Blake Snell, as well, is a possibility he gets moved. Do you see either of them getting traded, both of them, where they might be going?
I don't. I don't see them getting traded. To be honest with you, I would think one of the big four guys. I'd see them, except for Bogarts, because nobody's going to take that contract. But I can see, honestly, I see one of the big three guys. Actually, I take that back. I see Juan Soto getting traded before those two guys. To me. So I don't think they're going to move. Okay. Unless somebody, obviously it's one of those things where you get an offer you can't refuse. But
yeah,
I don't think they're going to get moved.
Okay. I think Blake Snell has a decent chance. To me, it's either, and I know they're not on the same pay grade, but Blake Snell and Juan Soto, both with, soon to be expiring contracts. Blake Snell at the end of the season. And it sort of seems like they're not going to re-sign both of them. And with the way the season's going for the Padres and the way the season is going for Blake Snell very well, sort of seems like he's a candidate to get traded, I think. And there's definitely going to be plenty of teams that are interested in him. Former Cy Young winner, and this season having a very good season. He's had a great 10, 15 starts in a row now that have been insane. Hader, like you said, I think if the right deal comes across the Padres' desk, they'd be willing to trade for him. The Rangers, see how desperate they get for a relief pitcher. If maybe the Pirates aren't willing to deal Bednar, depending how that goes. But yeah, Juan Soto, there was rumors that he wants to go back. He wants to go back east, and the Phillies were tossed out there, and I'm like, I'm good. We don't need to trade away. We don't need to trade away everybody for Juan Soto. I just don't think that. No, we don't need to mess up what we got going on to bring in Juan Soto. But my personal
Schwarber
opinion,
for Juan Soto?
No, come on. I mean, obviously, yes. If it was 1-for-1, Schwarber for Juan Soto, I'd do that. But you got to do that. But one more player we're going to talk about here. Your former guy, former best player on the Dodgers, maybe. It was close between him and Kershaw. Former MVP for the Dodgers. Rookie of the Year for the Dodgers. Come on, we got to hype him up a little bit here. Cody Bellinger. It's a chance he gets traded from the Cubs. We mentioned earlier. What do you see in Cody Bellinger's future?
Former guy who used to hit below the Mendoza line. Listen, I'm kind of happy. I'm happy that he's playing well, and he's had this good first half because he is a very good player. A part of me is a little jealous because it's it sucks because it literally took him to get out of Los Angeles to start playing well again, which I understand. LA's not for everybody. It can get too big. I completely get it. Does this dude not have Yankee pinstripes written all over him? Does he not? His dad played with the Yankees and won a couple World Series. If he's not a Yankee, then I don't know where else he's going. And the Yankees drop the ball on this one if they don't bring him in.
Yeah, 100%. Yankees need an outfielder. Cody Bellinger is providing top-tier defense in the outfield.
Short porch and right.
Exactly. Short porch and right field. He's a left-handed guy. Honestly, Yankees, what are we doing if you don't bring him in? I definitely think he's getting traded. A couple other teams I think have shown interest. Astros were mentioned, and this is where it gets interesting. Like, would Cody Bellinger even want to get traded to the Astros? Like, legitimately, because he was very outspoken about the 2017 Astros. So that brings up an interesting point, but I don't know. I think that at the end of the day, he'd be willing to go, but I don't know. Maybe not. But yeah, I definitely think he gets traded. Something I cooked up in my head, but I don't think the Phillies would do it. Bring in Belly and have him play first base because, with Rhys Hoskins being out for the whole season. But I checked his baseball reference and he hadn't played first base in like years, like consistently. So I don't know. Maybe he's not really interested in playing first base again. But I thought, hey, if the Phillies would be interested in doing that, I would honestly like that move. As long as he plays like Cubs Cody Bellinger, not last year Dodgers Cody Bellinger. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think that's gonna do it pretty much for this episode. What do you got closing thoughts wise, Melo?
Nothing much. Dodgers, keep doing what you're doing. This team is coming together very slowly. They're peaking at the right time. I'm coming to the East Coast. I'll see you. Melo
Yes,
meets the
sir.
East Coast starting tomorrow.
Yes, sir. So by the time that this episode comes out, Melo will be likely on a
Probably in the
plane.
air.
Yes, in the air on his way out to the East Coast, somewhere above central, middle of America. All the flyover spots in there. But yes, we are very much looking forward to welcoming Melo to the East Coast. Phillies, we're rolling right now. Let's stop. Let's not stop now. We took care of business versus the Padres. Okay, let's keep it going against the
Thank you.
Brewers here. We're creeping up. We're actually like a game back of second place. So thank you to the Cardinals for beating the Marlins last night. We'll take that again, please, and scoot ourselves into second place. And who says it's not too late to claim the NL East? I'm just kidding. It's a little far. It's like 10 games by now. So it would take a lot. But
Good. You
we're
stopped
coming.
yourself.
Yeah, we're coming for that wild card spot. Thanks to everybody for watching, listening, all that stuff. And that's going to do it for episode 24. We will see you probably Saturday. Peace.
Cooperstown, here we come. Adios.